So here's the mistakes that we see people make quite a bit. Because there's a lot of kind of like myths and things that people think they know and so on and so forth. And we see all of it. And we want to kind of share with you guys what those things are, and hopefully dispel some myths that perhaps you've heard, and help you live a more successful social media life for your business. Number one, advertising without a plan or a strategy. So something we often find with especially local companies is that, you know, I start a business, I create a Facebook page. I don't have a lot of, you know, time to post or anything, and I don't have a lot of followers, but I just put something up there. And if it doesn't work, I assume that social media doesn't work for my business. And that is not the case. That is a huge mistake, right? So don't just throw something on your page, you put your phone number, and then wonder why nobody is calling you. Nobody sees it, first of all. Second of all, this doesn't even give me any reason to call you. Like, I'm not going to call somebody to do my roof just because they say they're going to brighten my day. There's no benefit to me whatsoever. And there's also no shortage of people that can put a roof on. Okay. So you got to have a little bit more of a strategy.
You also need to be careful and know what you're posting, because there's a lot of regulations out there, and you know, this could actually be a OSHA violation on the roof.
Yeah, right. Those guys are supposed to be up there. They're supposed to be like in harnesses or something, right? So don't implicate yourself like in your social media. It's going to be hard to prove to the workers' comp. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, so but yes, absolutely. Don't post without a strategy. You know, try to have at least some objective and then some way to execute to achieve that objective. And yes, don't do illegal things and advertise it. Then there's this other thing where people just don't join social media at all, you know, because they're afraid that they're going to get negative comments, or they think that social media is just this place where people go air their grievances. Look, the conversation happening on social media is going to happen with or without your business, but that's where your customers are. So even if social media, Facebook and Instagram even if they're not great places where you can like get leads, you really should still be there so that when a potential customer is researching your business, your social media helps to support why they should do business with you. They want to see that you're in business. They want to see that you're in your community. They want to see that you're human. So at least have some profiles up there and have some sort of a strategy to post on some regular basis. Could be once every other week. It doesn't really matter that much, as long as people can see, okay, they're in business, they're doing good things, they're real people. But then there's the other side where, you know, you really do have an opportunity to generate business using social. And that's where we just cringe. We're like, oh, why aren't you doing this? But then there's the ugly cousin of this. And it's when you join too many platforms and you forget about them, right? So you go, I'm going to join, we got to be doing Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Vine. We got to be doing TikTok. We got to be doing Snapchat. We got to be doing all these. We got to be everywhere, because if we're not, we're nobody. And that's not true at all. First of all, Facebook has lost some users, but not enough to negatively affect anybody here. They still have like 2 billion people on the platform. So even if they lose 100 million, that'll be all over the news, but it doesn't affect us as business owners. There's enough people using Facebook where we can all get a lot of customers. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. If you're going after a younger audience, then Instagram is probably a really important place to be as well. But definitely don't join something and then just abandon it. It's like we've all seen when people start writing a blog on their website and you see they wrote 5 blog posts in January of 2017, you know, because it was their New Year's resolution. And then they never went back to it, or the person that was charged with writing the blog like got fired or quit or something. And then so nobody ever goes. And as a potential customer, you go, are these people even in business anymore? Like, I don't even know what's going on with them. So don't let that happen with your social media. If you're going to get on platforms, pick a few that make the most amount of sense for your business. And then have a strategy for how you actually want to use those and what kind of content you want to share. You know, kind of lay it out ahead of time.
I have a simple rule for that. Just pick something, do it, and do it well. Once you're comfortable on a certain platform, maybe you're on 1 or 2, do them well. And if you can expand out, then definitely do it. But you really need to just make sure that you have all the time and the resources. But just whatever you do, do it well.
Yeah, don't get analysis paralysis. And actually, that's kind of like what we're talking about here, right? So there's a lot of people that never get started because they assume that everything has to be perfect. You know, the pictures have to be perfect. You can't have anything candid. It has to be just a certain way. Or listen, if you're going to do social media, you got to do 17 different platforms, and we can't do 17 platforms, so we're not going to do any. Try not to allow that, you know, the breadth of how big social media is. Try not the dogs. Try not to let that deter you from just doing something. I'm not saying that you should just like kind of post something and then never think about it again, but you know, don't let this whole idea of perfection get in the way of doing anything at all. There's that saying like perfection is the enemy of progress. And that is very, very true when it comes to social media. If you can't plan out the next 6 months worth of content, just plan out the next week. And that's fine, but you know, don't let it hold you back. Okay. So going back to earlier when we were talking about online review, well, you know, why people don't get on to social media. Sometimes it's because of online reviews and the fact that they're afraid to get negative feedback. This really comes into play significantly. Kate, is your house at a place where you can speak a little bit to this right now?
I'm not muted, so I hope so.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so whether if someone's reviewing you online, whether it's good or bad, you need to respond. Sometimes a company might be nervous that it's going to open up a can of worms to actually be out there and responding. But you know, if a customer took time to actually write a review, whether it's good or bad, it's good to acknowledge it. Potential customers really appreciate to see that you're actually listening and that you care. And you know, more people want to do business with a company who responds. So we have some general rules. Respond and respond quickly. Timing really is everything. Acknowledge your reviewers by name. Show gratitude. Encourage reviewers to advocate for you. And you know, always include a sign off. The biggest thing is to be genuine. Whatever. Sorry.
Yes,
So,
definitely
yes.
be genuine.
Yes, be genuine as possible. And you know, if it's been a day or two and you realize that you haven't responded to someone, then you know, just follow up and get your response out there. It's always good to respond and thank people.
And you know, quite frankly, I think the couple big things when it comes to reviews is that, and this is probably for a different webinar, but you really should have some type of a strategy in place to garner as many positive reviews as you can possibly get. So if you get that one troll, right, that wants to just talk about your business and just be mean in social media because they have nothing better to do, or because they have a legitimate gripe that, you know, where you did underperform, you know, it should not be the end of the world for you. You should have enough good ones to overshadow that one bad one. And then if you do have to respond, definitely avoid the tendency to be combative. If somebody's coming after you, I guarantee you they have more stamina than you, and they probably have more friends. So if you come back at them and you're not nice, or you try to throw them under the bus back, it's probably not going to go well. And they're going to sick their friends on you too. So best thing is to do is to remain pretty unbiased, very apologetic. Let's take this offline. The other piece is, if you have to, or if you can, put a personal email address in there, or put a phone number in there to really demonstrate to other people that you're very, very serious about making that person's experience right. And by the way, we've had some clients that have said, well, we just shut comments off. We don't even let people comment on our stuff. We just put it out there. And I'm here to tell you that shutting comments off is the worst.
Frustrating.
It's the worst thing you can do. I mean, number one, it's frustrating, but number two, one of the things that makes an ad effective is the fact that it has social proof. It has positive comments below it. What do? We see the ad, or we see the product, and then what do we do next? We read the comments. We read what other people are saying about it. So if you take away people's ability to be positive about you, then you're really kind of robbing yourself of a great opportunity. So don't just eliminate comments, just be ready to handle bad ones if they happen. We don't typically advise that people delete comments from people, but if you do, make sure you ban them from your page, because they will come back and comment again and make your life miserable. So there's a way to do that. We can show you how to do it if you want to. It's not usually the way to go about it, by the way, but if you have to.
So Brad, can I stop you for one moment?
Please.
Because we have one question. Well, also I want to share something. When you were just saying the person who's slamming you probably has more friends than you, my son's laughing in the background. He's like, did he just say that he has more friends than you? I was like,
people that complain online, and I'm pretty sure we can all attest to this, have massive amounts of mobility. I mean, they can rally their friends so fast and they will just rip you apart and the problem with it is that it can be business ending. It can be very, very, very troublesome, especially if they start taking to things like Google, because now they can actually write a review that you can't get rid of. So
yeah, so true. So if they've got the motivation, it's a bad sign in the first place. Yeah. But Molly Lunn Owen had asked a question: what if your ad generates a lot of negative or off-topic back and forth comments? I know a goal is to inspire conversation, but should we be responding or participating in these conversations as a brand, or just hide the really offensive comments and let the rest play out?
That comes down to what you believe is good for your brand. So if somebody's being offensive or if somebody's swearing, then, you know, at that point, I really sort of feel like, and this is just me, but if somebody's starting to get offensive, then you get rid of it. I think you get rid of it. Because if you don't, then especially now, if you don't, you're basically complicit in their offensiveness, right? So you're basically saying as a business, no, we're cool with what they're saying, even though it's offensive. And that, like, for me in my business, wouldn't be okay. At some point, I'm going to stand for something and go, listen, you can say whatever you want on your page, but you're not going to say it on mine. And you're definitely not going to say it on an ad that I'm paying for, like, for sure. Right. So when somebody starts getting offensive like that, I'm taking them off. Now, if they start to just kind of go off on a thing and they're talking about things that are unrelated, like we have it happen with Super Potty Trainer a lot of times. Like, you know, people start talking about potty training and then they start talking about their family. Like, by the way, how is little Madison or whatever? That's totally fine. As a matter of fact, the more engagement that happens on a post, the better it is in Facebook's eyes. Facebook wants you and Instagram want you to stay on the platform as long as possible. And therefore they make it very, very inexpensive for you to run ads if you're helping them keep people on the platform. So there's a balance. If people start getting too nasty, I think you get rid of them. But, you know, if they're just having a conversation and having a good time, then yeah, by all means, let them talk. You could insert yourself in that conversation and say something fun like, yeah, maybe little Madison should try the Super Potty Trainer or something like that. But, you know, it's just cool that it's happening, you know, and if your ad is inciting that type of engagement, then like that's what you want. So, and I know that there's like a ton of questions going on up here, but I don't know if when I open those, it shows to everybody. And I also, you know, I can only focus on one thing at once. So I'm planning on reading all of them, but like if there are other questions that need to be answered right now, then by all means, feel free to fire away. We have 18 more minutes and we have all afternoon, by the way, so we can stay on as long as we need to. Anything else that jumps out at you, Heather?
No, I think a lot of people that was the only like real directed question. That's why I stopped you, but a lot of other just comments are going on in the chat. So you're fine. You're not missing much. Okay.
All right, sweet. Oh, did I skip anything? Hang on. How do I go back here? All right. So yeah, we're good. We're good. Yeah. Okay. So look, Facebook is a for-profit organization and they've therefore made it very, very easy for anybody to give them their money. So easy. All you got to do is hit the boost button, right? And we're here to tell you that that's probably a waste of money for a few different reasons. First of all, there's 11 or 13 different objectives you can choose when you're running an ad. One of them is engagement. Like if I'm just trying to get likes and shares and comments. If you use the boost button, then you're automatically, for the most part, going to go to the engagement objectives, because Facebook wants to give you those dopamine hits where it's like, look, all these people like, and they're sharing, and look, you should spend more and more and more, like it's some kind of slot machine, right? That's what an engagement ad does. And that's what a boost button does. The problem is you can't deposit likes, shares, and comments into the bank, right? So unless you're just trying to get a lot of social proof on a post so that you can then use it for another reason, which we employ that strategy quite often, actually. But using the boost button is not the way to do it. There's much better advertising tools available in the ads manager, which is all we use. So the only time we really use the boost button is if the ads manager is broken for some reason, which does unfortunately happen every now and then. So number one, it's just, you're not taking advantage of the tools that are really available to you. Number two, you're usually using it and there's no strategy behind it. It's like, I think this is a good post. I'm gonna boost this for $10 or $20 or whatever the case is. And that's not strategy. That's just flying by the seat of your pants. And that is not scalable. You can't grow your business. I mean, maybe you can, but I don't think you can really grow a business that way. It does work. It does get you some likes and shares and comments. So it feels like it's working, but we don't recommend it. We want real strategy where we're driving toward a particular objective. All right. Yes. So earlier we talked about the fact that you could target all these different people, right? You could target anybody based on anything. The issue with that is that you only have a limited amount of money. So you don't want to target everybody. You really need to be careful of who you spend your money putting your ad in front of. So let's just say, for instance, you're a nonprofit. You're a nonprofit organization. So you could blanket the entire community, right, with your ad. But I would rather you spend that same amount of money just targeting people who are more likely to donate money, or more likely to be charitable, or more likely to care about your particular cause based on their prior web browsing activity or based on the pages they like. You can do all that stuff, but you can blow your budget right out of the water if you just try and target this massive audience. It's not a good way to go. It's like with, to use them as an example, Super Potty Trainer. I'm not just going to target the 230 million people on Facebook in the United States. I'm going to target parents with kids whose age is, 1 to 4 who are buying diapers on Target. Like that's your target audience. That's where I'm going with that. On something like the Tidy Hook, anybody with a car can buy that thing. So that's where you really just let Facebook do the job and find the people that are most likely to buy. So yeah, definitely don't blow your budget out of the water by targeting too many people. Number 8, don't, under any circumstances, and you'd think that this goes without saying, but it definitely doesn't, don't ever grab an image off of Google Images and use it in your Facebook post.
Ever.
Ever. First of all, there's way too many easy, free, or inexpensive ways to get images. And number 2, like the penalties are nasty. So don't do it. It's not fun. As a matter of fact, there's law firms out there who just specifically go after people that do this. And they've made a career out of that. They've made a career out of trolling people that just steal people's images. It's not nice. So always go to Shutterstock or Pixabay or Pexels or one of like 15 other sites. And also, if you grab an image off of Google Images and you like make it a little bigger, or you cut off a corner of it or something, it's not an original image. Don't use it. It's just, you get a real image. That can be a nasty one. And then there's all these myths, right? So I think the biggest mistake people make is that they buy into all these myths. So this myth of like, you need a certain number of likes on your page. You've got to shoot for 500 likes or 1,000 likes. Let me tell you something. Our clients have made millions of dollars on using social media, and very few of them even have over 1,000 likes on their page. It doesn't matter, because the primary way that you're going to want to use social media is through the ads manager. And the ads manager doesn't care how many people like your page. It's almost a vanity metric. It's almost just something where if you're just trying to demonstrate that your page is legit, sure, try to get likes on your page. But that's not an objective that's really worth going for in our opinion. Another myth is that like social media somehow increases your SEO value, like your search engine optimization. There's no evidence that that is true. There's only correlation evidence where it's like businesses that have a good social media presence also have good SEO presence, but that's because they pay attention to their digital marketing. And so they pay attention to both of those things. So of course they're going to have, you know, positive numbers on both, but we've never seen anything that indicates that one causes the other to be better. You know, you should post a certain number of times during the week. There's no good number. It's whatever is right for your business. Facebook ads are cheap. Gary Vee said Facebook ads are cheap. Therefore, I feel like I should be running Facebook ads. Listen, Gary Vee said that back in 2013, and they were cheap until Gary Vee told everybody to go run Facebook ads. Then basic freshman year economics took over, and now Facebook ads are not cheap anymore. Instagram ads are not cheap. They're probably less expensive than other forms of advertising, and they're more targeted, but it's not like, you know, it's not like they're cheap. You shouldn't expect to, you know, have these massive returns on your investment right from the beginning using social media ads. It's just, you know, make sure that you meter your expectations there. Everybody should be using Facebook ads. No, absolutely not. The other day we got locked out of our house because for some reason the lock broke. And you know where I didn't go to find a locksmith? Facebook, right? You know what I didn't do? Think of the ad that I saw on Facebook for the locksmith 6 months ago and who that was. No, you know what I did? I said, hey Siri, find me a locksmith. And like, there's my name, there's my locksmith, right? I called him. So I think that depending on the business you're in, you should be using a mix of Google, Facebook, Instagram, and maybe some other things. But definitely don't just think that because you're in business, you should be using Facebook and Instagram ads. That's not the deal. How am I doing on time? 10 minutes. And then like another one, social media ads don't work for business to business. That's also not true. We can target people based on anything, including job title, the type of business they own, whether or not they read trade magazines, whether or not they visit certain trade websites, right? So social media ads absolutely work very well for business to business. And we have dozens of experience of the fact that that is true. So
you're still targeting the people.
Yeah, you're targeting people, and you know, you're providing value to those people based on things that Facebook knows about them, right? So we find that they work quite well. So just, you know, try not to fall for all the myths. And then, you know, the last thing that is that people are often afraid to ask for help. They assume that, you know, if I don't know this stuff, then it's just too much for me to learn, but that's really not the case. There's plenty of people that can give you a hand with this. Obviously we can, right? But there's, I think that there's probably 10 agencies in the chamber, maybe even more, right? We can all help you. We happen to be particularly good at this particular function. So if you have questions about social media or social media ads, we're more than happy to help you, but this isn't a plug. It's just literally don't not do it because you're afraid to ask somebody for a hand or you're afraid to have a free consultation. You know, we'll go into anybody's ads account or onto anybody's page and point out 10 things that you could do today that would probably make a difference for you. So don't hesitate to ask.